And moving on to a developing story, and according to the World Obesity Federation, more than half the world's population will be classified as obese or overweight by 2035 if action is not taken. That means that more than 4 billion people will be affected, with rates rising fastest among children. The report says that low or middle income countries in Africa and Asia are expected to see the greatest rises, and the findings also estimate that the rise in obesity rates will have a significant impact on the global economy, equating to 3% of global gross domestic product. The data published in the report will be presented to the United Nations this coming Monday. And joining me now to break this all down is Professor Dorit Adler, president of the Israeli Forum for Sustainable Nutrition. Professor, just how big of a crisis is this, and what are its primary causes?
It's a huge crisis. It's a crisis that comes together in synergic way with malnutrition and with the climate crisis. They are coming all together from the same sources. The major causes are, first of all, the fact that our food system is broken. It produces mostly ultra-processed food, which really is the biggest turbine that promotes this obesity epidemic, as well as diabetes and so on. Just to let you know that in Israel, that we have health insurance for all, still we are leading in amputations because of diabetes. And this is the reason behind it. It's this obesity and the damaging food that we eat mostly. So we have to tackle the sources. And unfortunately, not even one country has succeeded in achieving the targets, not getting fatter than the 2010 rates for each country. That means we are all in the same problem and not succeeding tackling it.
Now, a 2022 World Health Organization report said that 64% of adults here in Israel are overweight, and that among OECD countries, the Jewish state comes in at the third most overweight behind Turkey and Malta. How alarming are these numbers here in Israel? Is it the excessive use of oil and ginormous portion sizes, or is it time now to cut out falafel and shawarma?
We need to have to lead dramatic steps. Israel had done one step, for example, which we have given the sugary tax. Unfortunately, and very cynically, this government has taken it off. And this is one of the most potent steps that countries can take. We know that the sugary taxes are efficient from countries that it lasted more than a few months. And also the WHO promotes these financial steps to be led. We know that part of the problem is that there is no political will to do the steps, to take the steps that are needed. We know that most of the obesity epidemic is promoted because of environmental toxic food environment. And in the United States, for example, one of the leading research said a few weeks ago that for years, for decades, they were telling Americans what to eat. But even if they wanted, they couldn't have eaten that, because most of the food that is produced by the food systems, 70% in the United States, are ultra-processed food that are very intense in calories and in damaging ingredients.
Professor, to that exact point, why then is a problem like this more worrying in countries like Africa and Asia as opposed to Israel, the United States, and Europe?
First of all, because the food corporates are now targeting these countries. As in the United States, some steps has been taken, and we can see a decline in sugary beverages consumption. Some decline. On the other hand, we see rise in the diet sugary beverage, diet beverages, which are also promoting probably the obesity epidemics, according to last research also from the Weizmann Institute. And another reason is that we have seen it in the Asian countries that for this population, when they are above BMI 23, already we see the risk factors that we see in the white population over BMI of 25. That means there are also genetic predisposition.
Professor Dorit Adler, I'm sorry to cut you off. That's all the time we have for this broadcast. Thank you for joining us on a very serious issue.